Every day, consumers use labels on packaged goods to make informed choices. We use those labels to watch our calorie intake, eliminate foods we're allergic to, and even compare ingredient lists. So how are genetically modified foods labeled? The answer may surprise you. Genetically modified food, also known as genetically engineered foods, are not usually labeled. This is because, according to the Food and Drug Administration, does not require labeling unless there is a meaningful difference. Monsanto, the world's largest producer of GMO seeds, opposes mandatory labeling of food and ingredients developed from GM seeds. They feel that labeling GMO foods could mislead or falsely alarm consumers. But many consumers and consumer advocacy groups challenge that statement, citing among other things the increased population of consumers with food allergies, toxic results in lab tests, and cancer, which advocacy groups directly link to GMO foods. Contrary to popular belief, GMO foods are not the same classification as hybridization, which is the natural or purposeful mixing of different species of the same plant or variety to produce a hardier hybrid plant. Genetically modified foods are plants that have been genetically altered in a lab to carry specific characteristics. Those characteristics could be genetically spliced from other plants or animals. In many genetically modified strains of corn, for example, the corn itself produces its own pesticide, eliminating the need for chemical pesticide at the farm. The danger of this is that the corn is unlabeled in the grocery store, and consumers have no way of determining if the corn they purchase from the grocery store is traditionally grown or from a genetically modified crop. Currently, only Maine and Connecticut have laws requiring GMO labeling, with Hawaii and California trailing. Currently, no bills have been proposed to label GMO foods in Virginia. So why has the U.S. stopped the labeling or even the outright ban of GMOs? 30 other countries have created bans, restrictions, or required labeling. What do they know that we don't? GMOs can also create abnormal strains of weeds that are herbicide resistant, only creating the need for more chemicals at the farm level. An American can't go a meal without consuming a GMO because 90% of corn, potatoes, cotton, and soy found in traditional grocery stores are genetically modified. So what's the big deal? Why can't we just label the food? GMO producers have patented their strains of genetically modified organisms and stand to make a lot of money. As Monsanto said before, labeling the produce GMO would alarm consumers, and if consumers knew better, they might not choose a GMO apple. In a study by CBS News, 53% of Americans would not buy GMOs. In another study, 90% of people surveyed by the Right to Know GMO consumer advocacy group were in favor of labeling GMOs. We require labels for nutrition, ingredients, possible allergies, organic, natural, and conventionally grown products. Why shouldn't GMOs be included in that? Until Virginians and their elected politicians decide that labeling GMOs is an important matter to them, it's highly unlikely that GMOs will be labeled. In Connecticut and Maine, where legislation has passed to label GMOs, the labeling process won't begin until 2016 and 2017. A 2011 poll found that GMO labeling has broad bipartisan support. 89% of Republicans, 90% of independents, and 93% of Democrats favor GMO labeling in the U.S. On the other side of the coin, Greenpeace, Whole Foods, and other high-profile groups and companies think that GMOs should be accurately labeled and take a stand so consumers know they are not using GMOs. Ben & Jerry's, Cheerios, and other companies voluntarily label their foods GMO-free. The Non-GMO Project is a non-profit, third-party labeling group dedicated to verifying that food and consumer products are GMO-free. Companies who utilize GMO-free resources can get approved to use this label on their products. So how will you decide what is important to you and your family? Do you think that GMOs should be labeled? If so, contact your local government and let them know.